Welcome, everyone, and thank you for joining us today. We're excited to hop into this session with our partner Supermicro, unlocking real-time insights. We're going to give folks maybe 30 more seconds to hop in. I see the audience trickling up, so I just want to give everyone some time before we hop into today's content. Okay, guys, welcome to today's session. Thanks for joining us for our deep dive into unlocking real insights with our partner Supermicro. Let's go ahead and get started. I do see some folks still trickling in, but we have a lot of great content to get to today and some really great speakers. So I want to go ahead and dive in. We'll start with some housekeeping items. Before we begin, I want to share some things that may be helpful throughout this presentation. On the top right-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the chat, the docs, and the Q&A section. The docs section has a ton of relevant documents to this session, so please check them out. You can stay logged on to this platform after the event if you want to review some of those documents post-event. It'll also open up a separate window if you click on those documents. So please check those out. Following the session, we will be sending out the recording. Typically, this is about 24 hours post-session, so keep an eye on your inbox. You should be able to view this on demand. Feel free to forward this around to anyone on your team that you think this session will be relevant to as well. Lastly, if you do have any questions during the session, please put those in the Q&A section. So I've kind of put some screen grabs in here in this slide that we're sharing here where you can access that Q&A. It is also on the right-hand side of your screen next to the docs section. Your questions will appear once they have been approved from our team on the back end. But if you would like to submit your questions anonymously, feel free to do that by checking the hide name box at the bottom of the panel, which I've identified here at the bottom of this screen. We want this to be a very interactive session, so feel free to ask questions throughout today's session. We do have some experts behind the scenes answering those questions, but we will also have an interactive live Q&A at the end of this session. So let's go ahead and get started. Today, we're excited to show you a deep dive into our partnership with Supermicro and Enterprise AI Revolution. Let me go ahead and hand this over to Dave. Hi, Dave. How are you doing?
I am doing good. Thanks for the invitation today. So, as Christina said, my name is Dave Graham. I am the Alliance's product marketing person here at VAST Data, and I'm joined today by Ben Lee, who's the Director of Solution Management over at Supermicro. Ben, if you want to give a brief introduction to yourself.
Yeah, sure. So this is Ben. I'm the solution architect at Supermicro. And basically, I work closely with a partner like VAST Data to design and optimize the total solution for different kind of workload, different kind of market. But today, we are really focused on the enterprise AI, which is a very exciting topic. So I'm super happy to be here.
All right. Thank you. All right, so we have a brief agenda for you today. Obviously, we just started with the welcome and introduction. So we're going to first start with a little bit of laying the foundation here. Talking about RAG, talking about VAST offering within this space. And we're going to circle back around with Supermicro, and Supermicro is going to walk you through some of their solutions and how we complement each other together. It's a better together story. We'll give a little bit of, as we can come up with practical examples as we walk through things, and document as we go along, why this is important to enterprise, where we're seeing these, the emergence of agentic enterprise, if you will. And at the very end, we'll have, like Christina noted before, we'll have a more interactive question and answer time. So as we're going through everything today, as I'm talking, as Ben's talking, by all means, please utilize the Q&A panel on the right-hand side there. Ask your questions. We will answer them as we can. I want to be very, very upfront and honest with you. We don't have the answers to everything. And the beauty of this is that we will absolutely follow up with you directly. If there's something that you're asking that we want to get a little bit more information on, or if there's something you would like to dive a little bit deeper on, please let us know. And we are happy to, have a more direct conversation with you, whether it be from Supermicro or from VAST directly, or or both of us. So with that, let's step into the subject matter at hand. So really now we are focused around this idea of artificial intelligence in the enterprise. And I like to back up and I always like to say knowledge is power, knowledge is king, knowledge is everything that we're looking for. Your businesses are based on, enterprises are built on the foundation of data. Everything we do is oriented towards this idea of having insight into what our customers are doing, what our employees are doing, our partners are doing, everything around this. As we look in the past, decade or so, and really in the past 5 years, we've seen the rise of these foundational models. These are the open AIs of the world, the llamas, the metas, the Anthropics, the Claudes, these foundational models, which have basically taken the world by storm. Everything we do is interacting with these foundational models, right? They're really the codex for how artificial intelligence, or how we as consumers and we as enterprises, for example, interact with data on a day-to-day basis. When I started my PhD process on, this was very exciting to me because we're suddenly distilling down the corpus of human knowledge, or everything that we've built up to this point, into these large extant models of over tens of billions or even hundreds of billions of parameters. Now we go through these extensive networking, compute, and storage intensive processes in order to distill down humanity and data into these relationships, whether it be a graph-based relationship or a vector-based relationship, however you choose to look at it. Now, these foundational models are important. They provide the bedrock for how we build our businesses. And you can kind of see in the logos in the back end here, these are the Boston Children's of the world, Brown Universities, Greennodes, Yale, Zoom. All these different entities have built on top of these foundational models in order to achieve success within their particular industries or verticals. But as we kind of move into what we call steady state, this idea of there's this ongoing component to knowledge that we need to incorporate, right? Foundational models are great. They're a point-in-time snapshot. They're a point-in-time build of the corpus of human, the extant human knowledge base. But they're always a point in time. They're never in real time. Well, your business and my business and our partnerships interact in real time. They're interacting in financial markets daily. They're interacting in health and human services daily. They're interacting in defense. They're interacting in content service provision models. They're always to the second of what we're doing. So there's a switch from, if we laid a foundation with foundational models, we continue to update those and iterate those in different types of epochs. That's great, but we need something that's a little bit more current, contemporaneous, and dare I say it, very, very specific. And to this point, context becomes king. So one of the things that VAST did when we started at our inception was to try to understand the world and how it was being built. And part of this was we understood that monolithic data systems, where you move data to the storage system, that works, right? It's table stakes. Everybody does it. Everybody does it extremely well. But what needed to happen was this idea that there was a little bit more flexibility in how these architectures were built. Perhaps there was built into our understanding of data access and modeling the idea that asynchronicity needs to happen. Maybe I need more reads than writes. Maybe I need more front-end client surfacing and application surfacing, then I absolutely need capacity and storage. So part of what we did is we built this idea of a disaggregated shared everything model, which is what we call DACE. This forms the kind of platform, the underpinnings of what we're going to talk about today. And it's through this architecture that we're enabled to do things like have seconds to minutes based artificial intelligence provisioning through RAG and through other type of services versus minutes to hours or hours to days. So when we look at the overall architecture of days, we're looking at things that we call C nodes. These are the stateless front ends. This is where your applications, your clients, your services are going to interact with. These are coupled to a stateful backend, if you will, which is based around NVMe flash, and it incorporates NVMe over fabrics as an interior kind of connectivity or ligature between the front and the back end. Well, Supermicro will also talk a little bit about one of our really exciting kind of developments of this model where we compress these things down into a hyperscale-based model where rack space, environmental considerations, and actual exabyte scale is concerned, which we're calling the E box. So we have the C boxes, we have the D boxes, so client boxes, data boxes, if you will, and then the E box, which is the everything box. But I'll get Ben to talk about that in a little bit. But this, again, becomes the foundation for how we're going to build what comes next. And the idea here, again, was if everybody's building monolithic data storage models, that's great. But when we start to look at how applications are changing, how we look at the enterprise that's changing, how we look at our content service providers, MSPs, CSPs, partnerships are changing. Well, we needed something that was a little bit more flexible. And we wanted to bring together this idea that there needed to be just a single platform to handle all of your data needs. So a single data platform that enables enterprise applications, backups, archives, recovery, analytics, AI, business intelligence, everything, right? Got to take a breath here because it becomes quite exhaustive. So that as a preamble, we all recognize that AI is having its enterprise moment. Why is this? Well, the world is changing. The world changed yesterday. The world changed from Friday. The world changed a week ago. Every single day, there is nuance and more context being applied to everything that we're doing. And if you, as a business, are not ready for it, if we are not able to provide that capability to the market, you're going to lose time, you're going to lose effort, you're going to lose money, you're going to lose your market prominence. And so these are the things that we want to kind of support. So enterprise needs to be aware of everything that is happening, and they need to have it contextually appropriate to the moment that things are happening. So we've gotten away, like I said before, from foundational models. Foundational models are still important. We still rely on the folks like Anthropic or Meta or OpenAI to continue to build and develop and fine-tune these foundational models. And it's obvious based on the releases that they have. But we also need to look at the interstitial moments. What are the things that are happening in between those training epochs? And so what we have here is the continuum's kind of shifted. The shift has gone away from big, monolithic models that are, useful, but context unaware, to models that are smaller, more vertically integrated, or more industry integrated, or more semantically appropriate for the industry that's available, and trying to remove a little bit of the excess energy that's being applied to things using human feedback loops or manual or supervised and unsupervised learning. So what we're trying to do here is we're now trying to move into this idea of an agentic or an agent-based artificial intelligence environment. So to incorporate that, what we look at is this concept of RAG, or Retrieval-Augmented Generation, right? So because models are periodically trained and tuned, they're not always receiving new data at any given point. They're never really up to date. They're never really current. So now we need these additional sources. We generate PDFs every day. I like to, say that, this phone here generates more content every day. Certainly in the case of my teenage daughters, it generates more content every day than a foundational model would necessarily keep up with in its a given training cycle. But to be more appropriate to the businesses that are running, we need to be able to incorporate those rapidly back into this. So we need to have the foundational context of language. We need to understand relationships between words or between these chunks or the embeddings. But we also need to make it hyper aware of what is actually happening in the moment. So we have in our own internal enterprise-based data sources. So these are, anything that gets written into your database, anything that's structured or unstructured data that's written into your environments. Where if you're working healthcare systems, these could be MRI DICOM packages. These could be EMR or patient data. If you're working in the financial services industries, these are trade confirmations. These are the bits and pieces that show that money is being transferred from institution to institution. If you're working in public sector jobs, you're looking at the change of land deeds or titles or any of these other things. I mean, you can use your imagination. You work in industry, telco, media, entertainment. The next movie that's coming out is based around scene-based XML stuff like markup in DaVinci Resolve or in Pixar or all these things. There's constantly changing, right? We're constantly iterating or doing this stuff. So this needs to somehow find its way into the corpus of knowledge that an enterprise does. That allows it to be queryable, allows it to be current and contemporaneous to what your business is doing. The other kind of nagging question that's out there is because foundational models don't necessarily understand privacy. They don't understand secret versus public versus non-public information, there's an element of control and security that needs to be wrapped around this. And when you start to deal with more bite-sized increments, or you start to deal with your own enterprise-based increments of data, this becomes hugely important. How do we control? How do we provide ACLs around who is able to access information and what? I'm going to do a quick shout out. If we have NVIDIA's GTC Summit that's coming up here in the next couple of weeks, and we're going to be doing some demos around what privacy actually looks like when it comes to some of these retrieval-augmented generation models, right? So what does a secure RAG model look like for an enterprise? And so I will be there in providing that demo. So circling back around, all right, I have a source of data. I have a PDF. It contains an invoice or a document. That's going to get processed through a pipeline, similar to what you would experience from a standard ETL pipeline. It's going to be chunked. It's going to be put into a vector database or some sort of embedding database, and then it's going to be provided to that language model or whatever I choose to do. This is a very, very simple pipeline. So what actually happens underneath the covers? Why does this become important? When I start to look at how enterprises are going to process this, it becomes a little bit more nuanced, a little bit more correct, right? Ideally, you want the pipeline to begin in a very familiar way. I'm going to ingest data. It's going to start somewhere. It's that process of creation. And then we're going to move into a transformative aspect. We're going to start to look at how that data looks like. What is it semantically structured as? Is it structured, unstructured? We're going to start with a specific use case in mind. What do I need to do with this particular piece of information, this object or file? It needs to be prepared. It needs to be ripped apart, if you will. It needs to be chunked, and it needs to have an examination done of what's lying underneath. This is part of looking at the embeddings and vectorizing or putting it into a graph or vector database. It's also providing rank scaling based on any corpus of knowledge or a foundational knowledge being applied. In an ideal circumstance, if I'm working within the financial services industry, for example, I'll have a model that's going to, or a set of services, microservices of functions that can be called that are going to apply a specific rubric to those embeddings. It says, hey, I am working on, SOX compliance, right? Here's a document. I need to make sure that this is conformant to SOX compliance. There's a set of microservices that are going to trigger a model catalog, which you can see down there at the bottom, which you can pull out of NVIDIA's NGC or Hugging Face or whatnot, or you developed it yourself. It's going to apply those syntaxes to, or semantics to, the underpinnings of there. And so now my information suddenly becomes contextually appropriate to the business or entity. And this can be applied across all of these things. That gets fed into a chat agent where it's rank scaled based on responses. It determines the correct response. And again, I'm very, very high leveling on this stuff. And the outputs become something that's human consumable or human readable or agentically readable or agentically consumable, because again, we are also looking at the feedbacks that are going between the underpinning AIs within an organization, which may be sales, maybe finance, maybe marketing, so forth. All this to be said, this pipeline doesn't look dissimilar to what you would expect from an ETL preparation or data preparation phase, but it has its nuance in what we're starting to do when we pull apart all this information. So, apologize, one quick here. Again, we want data to be available within a short period of time of ingest. We don't want to be waiting around for hours, minutes to hours. When we start a query, when you go to your banking institution, you don't want to be waiting around for 15 minutes for a response to come back from the chatbot. You want information that is provided within seconds to like a minute, right? We have this built-in impatience in us. In the same way that your users, your applications, your experiences need to be designed around this. So by providing a real-time feedback loop or providing that ability to give data back in a meaningful way and with meaningful context within a quick period of time, that becomes important. So you have your real-time data component. This also has to be tied to a database. That database is only going to grow. That embedding database, whether it be Pinecone DB, Chroma DB, or whatever you end up choosing, it has to be able to scale and grow along with your data because you're constantly adding to it. You're relatively minimal in terms of retracting data from these type of instances. You're constantly adding data into this pool of knowledge, and you want to continue to increase it. You want to continue to allow it for revision. It also needs to be performant. it doesn't really work if your query agent, your agent is querying these underpinning data, trying to build the associations between these words, and it's taking minutes to return. You run into, again, an expectation, a lag of expectation, lag in promise. And then finally, there's a security component to it. Like I said before, you want to ensure that there is no poisoning of this. You want of this underpinning data set. You want to make sure that the people that are enabled, or the agents that are enabled to access this data pool, are the only people that are able to access this data pool, that there's no man in the middle or maladaptive or misinformation, disinformation actors being allowed into these things. So having real-time data, a hyperscale semantic database, and atomic security ends up leading to something that becomes beneficial to the enterprise overall. So we wrapped all this stuff together, and we sat down with NVIDIA and our partners and said, how do we make this happen? How do we do this at a scale that is not constrained by what has always been the case, these monolithic systems? And like I said before about days, this disaggregated shared everything infrastructure provides the key foundation from an infrastructure standpoint, that when you couple it to services and the functions available in something like NVIDIA NIM, for example, or NeMo, enables this ongoing real-time agentic enterprise, if you will. And to that end, we are introducing, or have announced, the VAST InsightEngine. And this is coming alongside with NVIDIA, and Supermicro is certainly a partner, foundational partner in delivering this to market. And in early 2025, that'll be there. So what does VAST InsightEngine actually enable? So it enables a unified data architecture. This means consolidating all the data storage, processing, and retrieval into one single integrated platform. Again, everything becomes addressable. You don't want to be moving data around if you don't have to. We want to look at the sparsity of data movement, right? If I can move data, if I can keep data intact where it is and only move compute elements or function elements, that makes it an economic or computationally effective type model. I want to be able to look at a single structure that can house file, object, graph, structured and unstructured data. And this is something that we built into the VAST data platform from the get-go. It means that everything we did was designed with the idea that applications are going to interface into a single locale. They're not going to be required to spray data every single place it needs to go. Again, we want to keep data movement to a minimum, exhibit the gravity that data needs in the places where it needs, by having a singularly based in a co-located database format, right, for the vectors and graph embeddings, as well as to have those files and objects available for any other applications that need to do it. And do it all within a secure multi-tenant type environment. So again, everything we've been doing, and even up to the point of the vectors and databases, is stuff that we're very, very familiar with. When we look at deduplication is a similar type algorithmic model to what we look at with vectors. It's designing adjacencies, it's understanding locations of proximity of values to each other. And so a lot of our know-how, our kind of our intellectual property, if you will, and how this came down to it, was easily applied into this. And when the new information, the real interesting bit, is now moving functions and triggers into the VAST data platform itself, and to say, hey, if I want to kick off these jobs, if I want to key off a structured data concept using the VAST database and a vector embedded vector database, I now can reach into the NIM catalog, pull out a microservice that makes sense to me. It can be triggered based on these things, and now that data is immediately available to my chatbots, available to my AI pipelines. It's available to anything that needs it, and I don't have to be spraying data around within my environment in order to get it there. So like I said, it's available. We are looking for beta customers right now that are willing to take a look at this, but ostensibly this is what it ends up looking like. It's built into the VAST data platform. It's going to rely on our structured data database, which is the VAST database. For the structured data, for the unstructured data, will still exist in there as it needs to, in real-time objects, real-time NAS, and real-time data warehousing. So all the preeminent features that you've come to expect from the VAST data platform are all there. It's co-located, everything together. And what this leads to is, we like to say it this way, but we're the first real-time retrieval system, meaning everything is measured in seconds to minutes. It's not measured in minutes to hours. We don't have a problem with time slips anymore. We don't have a problem with looking at, oh, that's a 15-minute cron job that's got to run. every 15 minutes. It's not something that is lagging behind the principal data ingest process. It is something that's done contemporaneous to data ingest. It is not something that relies on a secondary process in order to accomplish. We're looking at the world's first hyperscale vector database. Now, a lot of other vector databases out there, and they're great ones, to be fair. They are designed for sharding, they're designed for scale, but there are certain trade-offs that you're going to have to make. Again, we trade off at a certain point. We're trading off the flexibility, asymmetry of the day's platform in order to achieve hyperscale. If you need more addressability, more front-end performance, you simply add more C nodes. If you need more back-end storage and more back-end spread or resiliency, you can add more D nodes. And so the capability of doing this enables this hyperscale vector database. We're talking exabyte level vector databases or graph databases when it comes down to it. And we're also looking at the world's first enterprise retrieval engine. Again, looking at the nature of being able to have a single data platform that services all your basic artificial intelligence needs. This has been a lot about VAST, and as much as I love to talk about us all the time, we don't exist in a vacuum. We exist with partnerships, and these partnerships become incredibly important in order to realize these visions. And so today I'm honored really to have Ben here as a storage architect and a director of solutions engineering over at Supermicro, talk a little bit about what Supermicro has done, and sometimes in conjunction with VAST, but definitely what Supermicro has done at the market at large in order to push this vision, or in order to propagate this vision of the agentic enterprise to the market at large. Ben, all yours.
All right, thank you, Jeff. I think it's a great insight. And so now let me just talk about how Supermicro works with VAST to bring the total solution together. As you guys might not know that we are actually the hidden giant in the tech field. So we have 2 million square feet for global manufacturing in different regions, and we're producing 600,000 systems per year, and also making 5,000 rack per month. So these are already impressive numbers, but what really sets us apart is really we do everything in-house, from the design, manufacturing, and to the support. We control every step. And that means we can move faster, we can deliver a good quality of product, but very importantly, I think that's we can drive innovation really fast. So this will also really help our customer, our partner like VAST, to innovate really, really fast. So this is something I want to share, that how we deliver the value. So first, we have a broadest product portfolio. We just design for different kind of spec workload. And basically, whenever kind of workload you have, I think we'll get you covered. And then we are well known to be the first to market. I use an example, like we work with NVIDIA very closely. And, we always be the first mover to launch their latest and greatest GPU solutions. And the third, is our green computing. We are really focused on green computing. We design our product with green computing as a principle, because we believe this is not just for reduce the total cost of ownership, but also reduce the total cost of the environment. And this is really good for our mother nature, and which is I think is very important for everybody now. And lastly, we deliver a rack scale turnkey solution, and basically everything you need is kind of ready to go, and we just want to make it much easier for our customers, and regarding to these kind of AI deployments. Okay, so now let me take a look about this is what I'm really proud about. We have a really the largest product portfolio in the industrial, and all the product sector is just designed for specific workload. And for example, working with VAST, we pick some GPU server for AI workload, and then we also pick some storage solutions such as a petascale solution, storage solution for their data platform solutions. But just keep that in mind, different kind of AI workload or different user cases will require different kind of systems. So this is a great foundation for me as a solution architect, and to pick and choose and to optimize the platform and design the platform and as a whole solution to bring the best, not just on the CapEx, but also on the OpEx. So I think the next question you might ask is, what about the scale and also deploy these solutions in a very efficient way? So I think that has to talk about our rack scale solutions. So this is our rack scale solutions, and just think about when you deploy a very, very complex AI workload. It's really complicated. Just think about you have to consider different aspects. But we have found a way to simplify the whole deployment. That's our rack and scale solutions. So simply put, it's a fully validated, fully test system, and it's ready to go. So it's make the deployment really, really fast. And basically, just like we said, it's just plug and play. So we incorporate, the proven building block products, as I mentioned on the previous slide, and then incorporate our expertise in the classical architecture. And also, we have a strong understanding about the network topologies. Then, we integrate, and deliver as a fully integrated rack. So the whole process, is just like what I just mentioned in the slide. We start with the consultation. We discuss the requirement in detail with the customers. Then we design and architect the whole cluster architectures, and then assembly the whole rack, and we will test and validate the whole rack. Then, the last stage, we just deploy that and, make the old deployment really, really quick. And also, we offer ongoing on-site service support. We just can make sure, all these clusters running on the customer side will still running very smoothly going forward. So I think this kind of end-to-end approach, just highlight our engineer capabilities. And I would say, simply put, we just want to make the AI adoption much easier for our customers. So I have a real example. Let me show you that. Yeah, so this is, what we have achieved as a great example. It's SAR AI Cluster, as you people might know, and it's powered by Supermicro. So basically, it features it's amazing number. It's a 6,144 Supermicro 8 GPU 4U liquid cooling system. Again, it's a fully liquid cooled solution at a rack scale, and including all these kind of network and rack solutions. So we build these things from the ground up. So including our 4U liquid cooled GPU systems, and also we validate that with NVIDIA Spectrum-X technologies. As you might know, the AI cluster is care a lot about the networking. So we have a full innovation with NVIDIA Spectrum-X. Then we also design our in-house rack scale level liquid cooling solutions, such as the CDU I showed in the pictures. So basically, we build out this big cluster, 6,144 GPU, put it together, and make sure it's up to running in 122 days, and still deliver a sectional performance now. So I think this is just a proof that Supermicro, we work as a team, and our strong capabilities to handle such complicated and such complex AI challenge with the speed and precision. So this is always our philosophy. We want to deliver the speed with precision to our customers. So with all this success, I want to talk about some partnership with VAST Data. So the cooperation with VAST Data and Supermicro, I think starting from 2023, and basically we have some engagement talk about their DSC architecture, just like what they've mentioned. We try to understand how we're going to work together. Then we have some engagement and some validation on their compute and the storage box. But what makes me more excited is about in 2024, we officially launched, we call it Pbased. It's a converged bus. We bundle the compute and the storage into one single system. Basically, we want to boost the density and also the efficiency. And I think we get a really good success in the CSP market. And then in 2025, just like what Dave mentioned about all this kind of excitement about the enterprise AI, the rack, we are introducing this enterprise AI InsightEngine solutions with VAST Data. So basically, we just try to duplicate what we achieved in 2024. We want to redefine the enterprise AI with the total solution we want to offer to the market. So let me just share you a very quick information about the VAST Data Converged EBAs. So basically, we just simplified and accelerated the AI and the data pipeline together by integrating the typical VAST C nodes and also the storage node, the D nodes, into one single bus. So the benefit is we can reduce the total number of systems per clusters. And so that means like we also reduce the physical space and also lower the power consumptions. And on top of that, it's all leverage the commodity components such as AMD CPUs and some SSD from the storage, no matter it's a QLC flash or it's like SCF storages. So this EBAS has been very successful in the CSP, but I think this one can also be a good starting point for the enterprise AI because when you look into this EBAS, it's just a one-U platform and it can scale up very linearly just by adding more one-U system like in the pictures. And also it's very cost efficient because it's leveraging all these kind of commodity parts. And supply chain wise, it's also very healthy. And so I think these are all the key points that we need to consider for the enterprise AI. Then I want to spend some time just share with everybody about our PCIe-based GPU server. So I think just what like Dave mentioned, we do need some like a GPU to accommodate some like workload, not just on the InsightEngine and NVIDIA Link microservices, and also some foundation model Dave just described for this kind of chatbot or this kind of rack solutions. So Supermicro offer many PCIe-based GPU servers. As you can see in the pictures, we have this kind of 5U systems and 4U systems and 3U systems. We have a 2U system. All of these GPU server can accommodate the GPU from NVIDIA. And then, depends on different kind of workload and different requirements you need. You can support up to 10 GPU on the 5U systems. And, some of them can support 6 and some of them can support 4. So we want to provide a flexible options for all our customers in the enterprise space. And along with that, you can see on the bottom, we have validated many NVIDIA GPUs, and in starting from very high end like H200 NVL and H100 NVL, and some other low end platform like L40, L40S. So this give our customer some flexibilities and to pick and choose, and depends on their workload and their requirements, and of course their budgets, that we can bring this together and along with the VAST solutions to put like a total solution together to address this kind of enterprise AI market. Okay, now I want to bring every piece together and to discuss why we think this solution is important, but also what's the total solution we want to offer with VAST data. But first, I want to echo what Dave just presented. I think the enterprise AI will demand, the real-time data processing, and in the same time, you also need to address some critical challenges like data security, access right, we call it data sovereignty as well. So these things that means we're seeing some growing demands from the enterprise sectors to talk about on-premise infrastructures. So have a lot of discussion with the VAST folks. So that's why we figure out that we Supermicro and the VAST should create ideal solutions that's it's a combination of the cutting-edge hardware from Supermicro and also some innovative software from VAST, and bring this whole solution to the market. So just like what this slide highlight, the whole solution will bundle with Supermicro EBAs platforms and some of the Supermicro GPU servers. And then we'll integrate that with VAST data platforms and also the VAST InsightEngines. Then it will leverage the NVIDIA Link microservices. And basically this one is a containerized solution, and that can simplify the deployment, but also deliver optimized AI workloads. So put this together as a total solutions. And then we want to bring this to be secure, but also scalable solutions to the enterprise sectors. And it would be on premises versus this kind of in the cloud or in the colo. But we also have different options. As you've seen that we also are really good at the AI cluster things like that. But I would say, in 2025, even I involve a lot of like AI clusters, but I think the AI is not just for this kind of big tech giant or research lab anymore. I would say AI should be a tool for the business, like to get more deeper insight with the VAST data solutions, and also have them to make some smarter decisions, and of course drive innovations. This is really important for the enterprise, just like what Dave mentioned. It's a moment for the enterprise in 2025. So hope everybody join with us with the VAST to continue to have this journey, and I'm very excited about 2025. All right, back to you, Dave.
Great. Thank you so much, Ben and Dave, for all of the great content we walked through today. Guys, just a friendly reminder to put any sort of questions you have in the Q&A box to the right. We did get 2 questions in that I would love to ask Ben and Dave while we have them here live. Guys, one of the questions we received was, what is required to deploy the VAST InsightEngine enterprise solution? And I think this is directed at both of you guys. So maybe we can talk a little bit about hardware and software requirements.
Sure. I'll start, and Ben, I'll toss it over to you after I've said my piece. All right. So the VAST InsightEngine enterprise solution is, it's foundationally, it's a VAST data platform, right? So, it's a conversation that you'll have with Supermicro and us together. We will go through a sizing exercise. We'll ensure that capacities are being met, infrastructure is being met, so on and so forth, and you'll license the VAST data component, directly, and then the underpinnings for that, the infrastructure, if you will, is going to come over from Supermicro, and Supermicro, Ben and his team will take a pretty heavy look at what's an environment, what's required there, but it is included in the overall VAST data platform portfolio. Licensing is to be determined, but inherently the portfolio of the VAST data platform includes InsightEngine. So Ben, any further application from your side?
Yeah, so from that from the cluster hardware platform perspective, just like what Dave mentioned, it incorporates some software from the VAST data, including the data platform and data as in the InsightEngines. And then, also including some, as I say, that from NVIDIA about link services, maybe some NeMo, training models. But what we try to offer to customers, like it's a one-stop solutions. Like means that you buy everything from Supermicro, and we work with VAST for bundle the software, and on the top of that, also we have a strong partnership and the business relationship with NVIDIA to bundle their GPU and also their enterprise AI suite. So, and then we offer the full support for from the whole solution perspective. So yeah, just like the VAST solutions and NVIDIA software and GPU and our GPU server and our storage EBAS solutions, and put us as a whole. And at the cluster levels, you also need to consider some switch and cabling. But again, we'll make sure everything integrate perfectly and deliver to customers.
Great, thanks, guys. One other question came in. What are the considerations in deciding to deploy an enterprise AI solution? For example, would this be on-prem, in a co-location data center, cloud hosted? Anything you guys can provide any additional details on?
I can do this first.
Sure.
Yeah, so I deal with different kind of sectors. Like as I said, we have heavily involved with this kind of AI cluster we call the CSP market, and also we start to have really good conversation with enterprise sectors about the on-premise requirements. So there's a couple considerations. I think first is from business perspective. It's more about a buy and consumption model, right? You want to buy that upfront, and for enterprise sectors, then that means you need to consider on-premise infrastructures. But if you want to go with the consumption models, like pay as you go, then I think definitely that would be the you would go with cloud. But just like I say in the last slide, we see the ongoing demand to enterprise to consider the on-premise solution, and just mainly because the data security considerations, and also this kind of geopolitical political tensions, also the data sovereignty. I think more and more people really want to keep this data within their enterprise, within their territories, and to manage this in a proper way. I think that's the key consideration. Just like what Dave mentioned, the security is one of key pillars for this kind of enterprise AI solutions.
Yeah, just to expound on that for just a little bit. I mean, I think sometimes we're under the impression, whether it be false or otherwise, that everybody needs, massive data centers. Everybody needs a Colossus in their backyard, right? And not everybody needs Colossus in their backyards. The increments of growth here can be more bite-sized, can be smaller, right? Again, not every organization has exabytes of data. Some, hundreds of terabytes. Some are, maybe a couple petabytes. And so really what you're looking at is to determine where this is where's your data at? Is it already co-located in the cloud? Is it already with a content service provider? If so, you want to place your solutions as close to that underpinning data as possible. And that, like Ben was saying, this could be at a CSP like CoreWeave or Lambda or Core42 or whoever. It could be at Equinix. It could be in, a privately owned data center, QIC data center somewhere else, right? So all these considerations come into play. The idea is that you don't have to buy racks you're buying increments based around the applications that you need to service and around the data that you need to service. And so it may be a rack, it may be 2 racks, maybe 10. You never know. But that sizing exercise, these start with conversations really around what's the most meaningful to you? What kind of requirements, regulatory or otherwise, do you have in place that you need to consider? What is the nature of your business? Are you located in like a hotbed geopolitical or part of the world? Or are you located someplace maybe a little bit different or otherwise? And so a lot of these kind of factor into that. But that's the power of having a consultation with both of us. That's the power of us coming together and working with you to kind of determine the end state of these decisions, is that we're trying to achieve your ends, not ours, yours. And when it comes down to it, however we can do that and lead you to the best result is going to be what's going to be most meaningful to you.
Thanks, guys. We did have one more question trickle in, and audience, we still have about 10 more minutes. So any sort of questions you have, feel free to put them in the Q&A, and this is a great opportunity to answer those live while we have our partner Supermicro on. But the question that did come in, Ben and Dave, is what are the main data management challenges involved in developing enterprise AI, and what are the best practices to overcome these challenges?
Oh, data management. Yeah, anathema to everybody. Everybody, talks about it and hates to do it because it involves a lot of effort. I mean, the major data management challenges is really a curative process. It's actually understanding what you have, where you have it, and why it's meaningful and important to your business. A lot of data we generate is considered dark data or junk data. It's data that we never consider that has meaning or bearing on our enterprises. And so part of the process, I did this with Responsible Computing Consortium a couple of years back, was sitting down with IBM and going, all right, we have all this data, it's occupying data center space, what do we do with it, right? And developing kind of processes and a cognitive data management process around, hey, what do we do with this stuff? So understanding what your data is first and foremost, that can be a pretty hefty inspection, or it can be very, very simple. I want everything, right? So you can approach from 2 different angles. And I think that's generally the number one challenge. You don't know what you don't know. You don't know where it is. And so moving that, and again, kind of the provisions of the VAST Data Platform is you start to house all this together. You start to put it all in one place. Then you can go through a curative process similar to an ETL pipeline or similar to the pipelines we talked about before, where you start to look at what's the underpinnings here. Do I have a large amount of structured or unstructured data? Do I have content that is meaningful or meaningless? All these things. What ends up being the gravity that turns my business and makes my business move forward? So that to me is the kind of the penultimate question, or the ontological question that we're asking around data management. So Ben, any other thoughts from your perspective?
Yeah. Honestly, I'm still learning the data management from the VAST, friends. Yeah, but again, what I've seen the trend is like it really just because from the hardware perspective, all the fresh technologies, the cost is driven down significantly. So I see all the customers, especially enterprise, the data management consideration is no longer to talk about the cold tier and hot tier. They try to remove this kind of barrier and just have one unified platforms and to manage all the data. So there's no like some kind of dark data just put in somewhere and they will really revive it and to leverage it for the AI workload. So that's why we really spend most of efforts to develop our petascale all-flash platforms, and I think that's just a perfect combination. Partner with the VAST to pitch to the market. Yeah.
That's great, guys. So we have about 5 minutes left in this session. Anything that you guys want to touch on before we kind of wrap it up and let folks get back to their Tuesday?
I would say, again, the 2025 is a very exciting year to me. Again, we see a lot of big success in these kind of AI CSP cluster, solutions we present in the webinar. And we have a strong belief that we are really capable to, leverage this kind of experience and capability and expertise, and to help our enterprise customers to adapt the AI. And again, we want to make that very, very easy. Just what we have done in the this kind of crazy big clusters. So that's kind of my final message to everyone. Yeah.
Yeah, I think from the VAST perspective, like one of the things that I've been, super excited about, if that's the turn of phrase I'm going to use here. I'm pretty stoked about this idea of the velocity that we're seeing within enterprise, right? The desire for enterprises to continue to push forward and look at new and novel ways of interacting with their data in order to provide additional insights. I think that becomes, something that we're going to start to see a little bit more of the turn of the wheel there of how enterprises are looking at, and, whether enterprise, your definition is broader or very, very shallow or narrow, I should say. How are we able to make the most of this, right? And I think this idea that we don't always have to look at these big big supercompute type systems. When we're looking at, Jensen did this at just his announcement this past week, a small little computer that can run inference now on your desktop that can provide the surfacing for these language models. We're starting to see the development of these things becoming normalized to everything that we're doing within the enterprise space. And that's very, very exciting. And from VAST perspective, we want to continue to support that by adding in features that are appropriate to drive businesses forward, not just fluffy, nice to have kind of features, right? So we really want to drive to the heart of the matter and ensure that there's integration there and that's usefulness, right, within that. So yeah, I'm pretty excited about it as well.
Thanks, guys. We did have one question come in while you guys were kind of giving your final thoughts, and we have some time, so I do want to get to it. However, before we hop into that last question, I do want to give a plug to GTC. So both Supermicro and VAST will be sponsoring GTC, and we're excited to see you guys there. Feel free to scan this QR code. You can also access the link under the docs section to book a meeting with us. We'll have some experts there to dive into this and share additional information, but we will also have our executive team there. So feel free to book a meeting. We'd love to see you guys there in person. If you're not attending NVIDIA's GTC this year, feel free to contact us directly. You can visit either one of our sites. We have contact us forms for you guys to fill out, but we'd love to meet you guys and have deeper conversations about this specifically. So before we hang up the line, David, I want to get to that question that you put in the Q&A box. Ben, Dave, the question was, don't e-boxes eliminate the ability to scale processing and storage independently? Can you share a little bit more about what the advantage is of using an e-box?
Sure, I'll start with that, and Ben, if you want to wrap around the back of it. So the e-box was really designed around hyperscale, right? It was really designed around this idea that as content service providers, or let's say larger enterprises, start to look at efficacies within their environment, right? We've run into a problem in infrastructure where we're power and space constrained more than anything else, right? So the typical C and D box from VAST, or what would be provided, in channel, for example, is, one RU and two RU solution, right? So it tends to be pretty heavyweight when it comes down to it, or one U and one RU. By combining these things together, but also setting a minimum cluster size around of 11, you're certainly taking a little bit more of an initial hit in rack space, but the ability to scale these things now into exabytes is made capable there. It also reduces a little bit of the footprint, so you're looking at a reduction in overall power and cooling, percentage-wise, single to lower double digits percentage-wise in terms of infrastructure cost overall. And again, it's really kind of designed at that upper level where we're starting to scale into exabytes. For most use cases, for a lot of use cases that we see, especially where petabytes to, let's say, 1 or 2 exabytes, there's still some efficacy built into this separate or disparate C and D box models. But overall, that's really where the perimeter, where we kind of draw a very, very soft line in the sand when it comes to that. you can still scale. Once you have your initial cluster size, you're still able to do that. We have resiliency features built into the eBoxes around or write buffer mirroring, metadata triplication, for example, that will enable resiliency across racks and rows now. Some of that stuff trickles back down into the VAST OS, into VAST Data, 5.1, 5.2, for example, 5.3 and forward. So a lot of what we're seeing there is the fundamentals are still in place. It's just shifting a little bit of the physical infrastructure and the physical interactivity models of that a little bit differently. So it's kind of I hate to say it's a non-answer to you, David, but it's a 6 in one hand, half a dozen in the other, and it's really just kind of where you're going to place the value and what you're hopefully wanting to achieve. I don't know, Ben, if you have any other comments about that.
Yeah, I think in past, just like mentioned, this all the benefit just mentioned, and it would be the class level solutions. But yeah, you mentioned about numeric requirements 11. We also work with the VAST team to really try to bring down the total capacities. Because in certain workload that customers, maybe enterprise customer, also looking for performance instead of capacities. But again, the key benefit on eBus, just like you mentioned, as I say that it's a very cost-efficient platform. It's the standard Supermicro servers. It's 1U, so it can scale very linearly, and so it's easier for anybody to deploy that. So yeah, I think that's why we are working with VAST to launch this platform. But we look forward to have more like engagement, more like innovative way to architect the solutions with VAST. But that's just a starting point. That's the only thing I can say now. So yeah.
Well, I want to thank you guys, Ben, Dave, and I really want to thank all the folks that are still on the line with us for your time today. This has been some really great content. Feel free to stay on the platform as long as you guys would like. In the back end, there's tons of great resources in the doc section. And I also put in chat that direct link to book a meeting if that's something that interests you, if you'll be live at GTC. Again, thank you all for the time today, and have a good rest of your Tuesday and rest of your week.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next stage.